Don't you just love it when two iconic legends are given a reason to clash and go head to head? Like if Muhammad Ali was still around to step in the ring with Floyd Mayweather, or if Michael Jordan decided to have a one-on-one with LeBron James, or back in the Attitude Era of the WWF/E when Stone Cold Steve Austin would throw up a middle finger to The Rock. It's always exhilarating to watch the epic showdowns of arguably the best at what they do, as you know by the time it's all over, only one will stand victorious. And what a better example of such classic confrontation than Godzilla vs. Kong, a larger-than-life recreation of the 1963 masterpiece King Kong vs. Godzilla, showing us the leaps and bounds of improvement special effects have made over the past nearly 6 decades. I wonder if the title was a hint at the winner between these two, given the fact that Kong was technically crowned the winner back in the 60s, and, well, spoilers, I guess? Godzilla vs. Kong is one of the few films that can be summed up entirely by its title. Is there a story? Sure. Are there other characters that appear and do things? Yes. Does any of that really matter, though? No. Not at all. But it's spot on in regards to meeting the expectations of what you'd imagine out of a movie like this. So let's get into it. We begin with Kong at Skull Island, where we quickly discover that it is now a huge dome around it and has become a monarch monitoring facility. Meanwhile, Godzilla is running amok and causing chaos, so everyone assumes he's a bad guy now. And I know what you're thinking. They're gonna release Kong so he can fend off the evil doings of Godzilla, cause at least that holds a smidgen of logic, right? Not at all. You see, some rich asshole employs a geologist to be his guinea pig in a mission to find the home of the Titans, the race of beings that Kong and Godzilla are, so he can find and harness that atomic power that Godzilla shoots out of his mouth and use it to create something that can defend humans from the monsters of the world. Anyone else getting a big whiff of Mechagodzilla here? So, Mr. Geologist goes to visit King Kong's babysitter, who is accompanied by one of the only relevant and undoubtedly the most adorable human characters in the entire movie, Gia, a deaf girl who has a special relationship with Kong. Mr. Geologist's suggestion is that they take Kong to the opening to the middle of the Earth in Antarctica and let him guide the way. Genius! Can you imagine? That rich asshole and his incredibly intelligent team of people around him would have never guessed to try something like that. As they make their way by ocean, someone shows up to ruin their day. You know who it is, right? God motherfucking Zilla. And it doesn't do Kong any favors that Godzilla has home field advantage in the sense that he spends debatedly more time in the water than he does on land and is just as viable of a threat in both. It is a visual thrill to see these two go at it. Yeah, when they throw punches, it's like watching super heavyweight boxers, but they're still fast with certain maneuvers and have a solid back and forth as opposed to a total one-sided domination. At the end of it all, though, Godzilla gains the upper hand by holding Kong underwater until he's on the verge of running out of air, and then the damn humans step in to save their beloved gorilla. Afterwards, they literally play dead, so Godzilla leaves them alone. I just want to point out that before he leaves, he's standing up in the water and stares menacingly at Kong. But, how the fuck is he standing? The water they were just fighting in was clearly deeper than the both of their heights combined, but a couple 100 feet away his legs can reach the bottom? Whatever. By the way, the humans find out that the adorable deaf girl taught Kong sign language, so now we have a Kong translator. At this point, the humans realize they're unable to continue this trip by water, so they throw Kong into a net and fly him the rest of the way. Good lord, the sheer amount of preparation that must have gone into just getting him onto that net, let alone knowing the physics behind how many helicopters it would take to properly hold him up. They manage to get to Antarctica, and Gia convinces Kong to go through a tunnel to Hollow Earth, the place where Titans supposedly come from, and the humans follow behind him in their fancy-ass ships. Hollow Earth is quite honestly a beautiful looking scenery, filled with vast fields and mountains that give off a very prehistoric type of vibe. The landscape itself is like a crossover between The Land Before Time and Inception, as this place has double gravity. When you look up, there's an upside down rest of the world above you, and as Kong demonstrates, you can jump from one side of the gravity well to the next if you want. The humans further follow him into the depths of Monster Paradise, and Kong stumbles upon an axe. Finders keepers! And to celebrate his discovery, the humans walk out of their ships without any helmets or prior testing of the level of safety of the environment around them. What if the air is toxic in there? What if there's some horrendous ancient spore floating around just waiting to pop into any orifice it can? Isn't anyone concerned about this? So Kong's axe decides to wake up and start glowing, and he realizes there's a hole in the ground, the exact shape of that axe. So he puts it inside, and a bunch of blue atomic energy similar to that of Godzilla's breath gets absorbed into the weapon. This activity grabs the attention of Godzilla himself, who swims over to Hong Kong and uses that atomic breath to start drilling a hole down to Hollow Earth. And as this madness starts to take place, the obnoxious daughter of the rich asshole who thinks she's hot shit decides to randomly turn on the main characters as soon as they get a sample of the atomic breath stuff. Why? What purpose did that action serve? Was I supposed to care or be taken aback by her doing this? Her character is an utter waste of space and is absurdly annoying to watch. She's either got this attitude like everyone's stupid for anything they say, or she's completely dumbfounded as to what's going on. And the whole betrayal itself doesn't really go much of anywhere, as Kong grabs a hold of the ship she attempts to escape in and crushes it like he's squeezing a stress ball. Attaboy, Kong! As Kong and everyone else resurface, we get round 2 of this stunning spectacle and are delivered an intense battle of Godzilla and King Kong versus the city of Hong Kong. As far as visuals go, it's possibly the most fun to watch, as these buildings, layout, and foundation of the city really give both monsters a run for their money. At no point do you know who truly has the advantage here. Both Kong and Godzilla are giving their peak performances, neither letting up for even a moment, but Hong Kong isn't one to back down so easily, and does an impressive job of standing its ground against these legends. When it's all said and done, however, the two titans stand triumphant, and the city of Hong Kong accepts its embarrassing defeat, already preparing itself for their next encounter. So there's the sarcastic version. In reality, this is Kong and Godzilla's outstanding second clash, and I appreciate how well they do with making it feel like a legitimate fight. There's no immediate domination by either side. With that being said, there's a moment about halfway through this fight where one of the human characters is like, "I guess Kong won the second round," acknowledging Godzilla clearly took the W in round 1. But what the absolute fuck are you talking about? Kong does not, I repeat, does not win the fight in Hong Kong. As a matter of fact, it's the polar opposite. This fight ends with Godzilla standing over Kong, foot on his chest, roaring in his face to loudly explain that he's the superior of the two, leaving Kong seemingly on the verge of death. If he was referring to Godzilla getting knocked down temporarily, bud, that's all they've been doing the whole fight, is knocking each other down and getting back up. It's totally 2-0 Godzilla at this point. Now, as the entirety of what I've explained has been going on, there's been a side quest I've yet to make mention of involving Millie Bobby Brown's character, Madison, her friend, and a conspiracy theory podcaster that works at a corporation called Apex. To be honest, I would have gone the length of the review without bothering to utter anything about them, because other than the detail I'm about to lead to, their purpose of being here is nearly meaningless. Okay, so Madison, Josh, and Bernie are on a mission to find the real reason behind Godzilla's recent attacks. How did they come together, you wonder? With no trouble whatsoever. Madison drags Josh along to find Bernie, the host of a podcast she likes, which they do with no trouble whatsoever. Then Madison and Bernie instantly become best friends and decide to break into the Apex facility Godzilla attacked earlier, which they do with no trouble whatsoever. Then they just so happen to come across an elevator leading to the exact spot they were trying to find, and end up catching a ride on a mini monorail car that conveniently zips them off to another plot point. I mean, underground facility. They exit the monorail, undetected of course, and immediately stumble into a room just as Mechagodzilla begins to activate. Jeez, what a coincidence! So, to clarify, the only significance these characters have are to be the audience's introduction to Mechagodzilla, which we didn't even need, since we already have an established connection to the rich asshole behind all of this, as he's the same rich asshole that hired Mr. Geologist to find the Hollow Earth in the first place. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's, waste of time, that's it. Anyway, it's revealed to us that Mechagodzilla is operated very similarly to the Jaegers in Pacific Rim, except instead of two humans forming a brain link to take the wheel, there's one scientist who's mentally merging with one of the 3 heads of the deceased Ghidorah, the villainous beast from King of the Monsters. That's right, in case you forgot, Ghidorah's 3 heads actually shared thoughts telepathically, so they have one skull as the head of Mechagodzilla, and another as a makeshift cockpit for the pilot. I wonder if that 3rd head is gonna pop up somewhere down the line in future movies. During an initial testing of the mechanical titan, Madison and crew are finally caught and brought up to an office where they find out that the rich asshole has been behind the secretive project so that the humans can once again be considered the apex predators of the world. It's actually not a horrible idea to have a titan-powered weapon that humans can control so long as it's in the right hands. It's more sensible to have that instead of hoping on everything that your town isn't the one Godzilla demolishes in a footstep today. His plans are on the verge of being fulfilled as his team received the data on the blue atomic substance and managed to program it into Mechagodzilla, only for the metal monster to suddenly take on a mind of its own, disconnect from the human pilot, and start up a killing spree. So, is it Ghidorah's consciousness inside of Mechagodzilla's body now? I mean, that would be pretty cool, and it would help explain why it immediately goes after Godzilla. Also, did you catch what I nonchalantly threw in there? The humans uploaded the data of the blue atomic shit into Mechagodzilla. That's right, they didn't physically need the substance itself, just the data on it so they can magically and instantaneously re-engineer it to place inside their robot lizard. Jesus Christ, at least the first Godzilla felt it was based in a somewhat grounded and understandable environment. Now it's just whatever incomprehensible future level technology we need to fit the script, I guess. Though Godzilla is holding his own against his mechanical counterpart, it's also noticeable that the mecha version is slowly gaining more control over the situation, and the humans know that he needs Kong to help tag team this issue away. But what could possibly heal up Kong and bring him back into fighting form after the brutal beatdown he just received? Apparently, a simple jumpstart to his heart will do the trick. Seriously? How does that fix everything? He got bit, stabbed, clawed at, and thrown into at least a dozen buildings or so. Giving his heart some electricity cures all that? Whatever. They use one of their fancy mini-ships to give him the juice, and Kong jumps back into action just in time to aid Godzilla. The team-up between the two, though we could have seen it coming from a mile away, is dope. They even have their own Avengers-like moment, where Godzilla uses his atomic breath to charge up Kong's axe before he delivers the finishing blows to the dreaded Mechagodzilla. My biggest complaint about this scene, though, is that Madison's friend Josh spilled some alcohol onto the operating controls back in the Apex facility, which apparently caused Mechagodzilla to have a malfunction, giving Kong his open window to chop it into bits. But how the fuck is that possible? When Mechagodzilla gained its own consciousness, did it not clearly disengage from the human's control system? It even destroyed a bit of it when the rich asshole was taken out. So there shouldn't be a way of anything being done to the controls that would have an effect on the metal giant. Additionally, I feel like that severely takes away from the team up and impact of Kong and Godzilla working together. Am I supposed to really believe that the two of them couldn't have taken down the mechanical beast if it wasn't for the kid deciding to dump some whiskey on the control panel? It really wasn't needed and did more damage to the story than anything positive. Gripes aside, the action itself was very fitting for a final fight scene. Everything ends with Godzilla and Kong peacefully parting ways, and Kong ends up making the Hollow Earth his new home. And there you go. There's the breakdown of Godzilla vs. Kong. I want to say right off the bat, all of the action sequences are phenomenally stunning. At no point do you feel bored when they're fighting. It stayed creative and engaging, and there were moments where it was truly hard to gauge who was going to walk away the winner. Taking that into consideration, I am very pleased that they had no problem making it clear that Godzilla is the top dog between them. Don't get me wrong, Kong is absolutely a force to be reckoned with, but Godzilla undoubtedly has a bit more physical prowess and abilities that give him the advantage, and since that's how it played out, it was nice that they had Kong deliver the final blows to Mechagodzilla. I said it before, I will say it again, just about every single human character was irrelevant aside from Gia and the humans that created Mechagodzilla, I guess. Millie Bobby Brown and her crew could have been dropped entirely, and I don't think the movie would have been any different. Bernie was at least a decent comic relief, though a couple of times I just wanted him to shut the fuck up. And I can't stress enough how them aiding in the feud against Mechagodzilla just felt forced and undeserving. Don't you take that win away from Godzilla and Kong? They didn't need you. All in all, what did they manage to accomplish with this movie? Did they create a flawless, riveting story that compelled me to become invested in the plot? Not necessarily. Are the characters stand out and unique and people that you want to see and find out more of? Not at all. But guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. If you went into this expecting to see some thought-provoking, mind-bending mystery, then you're watching the wrong movie. I just wanted to see these two legends go head-to-head in a day and age where they can make it look immensely cooler than two dudes in hard-to-see and breathe-through suits. And they delivered on that. So props to them for managing to create what is arguably a concept for a movie that sounds like it rightfully should have remained a concept. I mean, we're talking about a movie focusing on a giant lizard fighting against a giant monkey. Yeah, it sounds cool, but to create an entire movie around that can be difficult. And after checking it out, this is definitely a movie that I wouldn't mind sitting through again. On that note, what are your thoughts on this epic title? Do you agree with Godzilla being the superior titan, or you think Kong got slighted and deserves a redemption battle? How about their execution of Mechagodzilla? I thought it was a cool angle, different approach than what I was expecting it to be, created an imposing and deadly scenario for our favorite monsters. I could keep going, but leave those thoughts and opinions in the comments section, like the video if you enjoyed this content, and I'll catch you at the next review.